The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our very first Human Resources webinar of the season. I am Carol Bowman from the Beginning Teacher Development and Support Team, and it is my pleasure to serve as your hostess today. We conduct webinars in order to communicate to schools and departments specific human resources updates that affect education and the work that you do. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the Human Resources Webinars page on the CMS intranet. During the webinar, please type any questions in the chat box. Our subject matter experts will be monitoring questions and we will respond after each topic. There is a handout in the HR webinar. Any links that will be referenced throughout our presentation are included in that handout. We ask you adhere to these webinar norms. Minimize outside distractions, be attentive, and use the questions bar on your dashboard to ask questions. Today's agenda is as follows. Talent acquisition will share recruitment updates. CMS Teaching Residency will discuss updates. Licensure will share updates. Beginning Teacher Development and Support will share NTX and starting the year information. Teacher Leader Pathway will discuss talent pool and requalification, and vacancies and new cohort. Substitute Program will share guest teacher initiative recap and substitute reminders. Performance Management will share evaluation orientation for teachers and licensed support staff. And lastly, Employee Relations will share resources available to address employee misconduct. First, we have the amazing Kristen England from Talent Acquisitions.
Thank you, Carol. Hello, everyone. I am Kristen England, and I am the manager of Talent Acquisition. We are excited for this year's student teachers. We currently have 144 student teachers and interns, which include counselors, social workers, school psychologists, to name a few, placed throughout our schools for the fall 2022 semester. Thank you to many of our participating schools that have agreed to host a student teacher. They are excited to begin soon. If you would like to host a student teacher at your school for the next round of placements, please reach out to Kylie Peoples. Her email address is on the screen. She is our student teacher recruiter. A friendly reminder, as student teachers start in our schools, please give your student teachers a warm welcome. Introduce student teachers to your administrative staff. Coordinate with the clinical educator to check in and observe your student teachers throughout the semester. And most importantly, cultivate and build those relationships with your student teachers for future vacancies within your school or for other district vacancies. We wanted to share some initial data from our summer career fair. We had over 700 registrations with a 43% show rate. 123 schools and 9 departments participated, which led to over 900 private chats and over 1,300 public chats. We had 52 recommendations on the day of the fair or the following day. This was a 37% increase in recommendations from the previous year summer career fair. We will continue to monitor the recommendations and provide an update in total recommendations from the career fair during the September HR webinar. Recruiters have sent out the list of candidates that registered for the career fair to schools that registered for the career fair. Remember to connect with your recruiter if you have any questions or need any assistance. Thank you very much for your participation in this event. We are getting an early start this year on our fall recruitment season. We will be attending a few recruitment events this month. Yesterday, we participated in the CMS Operations Career Fair, and we have two upcoming events, the Virtual Employer Summit for Hispanic Serving Institutions and the Urban League First Day Ready event. We are so excited about these events and are glad that we have been able to find a diversity event happening this month. If you have any questions or need any assistance from our team, please contact us at the recruiter email address listed on the screen, or contact your recruiter directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Do we have any questions at this time?
There are no questions at this time.
Next, we have the amazing Elizabeth Wilson from the CMS Teaching Residency Team.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome back. I hope everyone feels rejuvenated and are ready to start the 2022 school year. Meet our small but mighty team. We have Shannon Staymeyer, our director. I am Elizabeth Wilson, the project manager at CMS Teaching Residency. And we have Iris McConaughey, who is our teacher coordinator. And yes, we have Christine Smith now with CMS Teaching Residency. She is our very own licensure manager, as well as a recruiter for all alternative licensure. Our pre-service training, we have some updates. This is a 5-week intense training where candidates engage in Teach Like a Champion sessions. They participate in equity conversations and dig into their content with some of CMS's most amazing instructors. We just finished up our summer training and are really excited about the candidates who are entering your classrooms in just a couple of weeks. This year, we piloted the spring training for only internal elementary and ECGC candidates, where they engaged in those sessions on Saturdays, but were able to then take what they learned and immediately put into practice in the classrooms that they were already working in, or with your help, they were able to get into classrooms to practice and receive support from teachers and other leaders in your buildings. We are excited that we will be having spring training again, so start thinking about that in your buildings and be on the lookout for information coming later in the fall. And from spring training, you can see here that we started with 19 elementary candidates and 8 ECGC, and 20 of those candidates are still currently enrolled and only 1 has not been hired yet. For summer training, we started with 78 candidates and had 75 that successfully completed the training, and all of those candidates have been hired, so we're really excited about that. All right, so now it's that time to get back into the classrooms, and our support shifts within our small but mighty team from being the candidates' only support from enrollment and pre-service training to more focused on their program and state requirements, such as test prep, TPA support sessions, coursework, and licensure, so that they can become a fully licensed teacher, hopefully by the end of their first year of residency. The instructional support comes from your school, and most importantly, the clinical educator that is assigned to them by you, the principals. We do have our residency coordinator, Iris McConaughey, who coordinates all of the licensure content coursework support, as well as the clinical educator support across the district for all of our residents. And she does provide support when needed for those candidates with critical needs in the classrooms as well. Residents will be working on content coursework via Canvas from August through December, and they have a syllabus that will help plan for due dates for the tasks that they must complete. And they should be applicable to the classroom and not extra work or outside of what they're already doing. It's around planning and instructional delivery, so that should only enhance their delivery in the classrooms. We review all the assignments in our cohort meetings ahead of time. They also have access to their graders. So if they have questions around the feedback they receive, they can do that. These assignments are not only a requirement, but also will help them prepare for TPA since they mimic the structure and process. We have laid out a payment plan for our candidates when it comes to paying their tuition. This can be a bit cumbersome for some of them, so we know that it's a lot between tuition and state testing fees. It's crucial that residents know, as well as their clinical educator, that EdTPA must be submitted at April 21st, 2023. So it's not an option, they must submit. It is a state requirement. They will be required to attend support sessions. Usually in the past, we have given it as an option, but we are going to make it a requirement this year that they attend the support sessions, and most of those sessions are during their cohort meetings that they're already scheduled, and then we do have some outside sessions as well for them. Your clinical educator is not expected to support them with these tasks unless they want to, and they must be well versed in EdTPA and have the capacity to do so, but we do have support on our end. The best thing that the clinical educator can do is just to help them calendarize and get organized. They can balance life, teaching, meetings at the school, as well as the program requirements. And the clinical educator should be their cheerleader and possible record resident lessons and not necessarily the EdTPA support. So talking about clinical educator, in an effort to provide consistent and focused or aligned support to our CMS teaching residents, it is required to have a designated person at the school site to serve as the CMS teaching residency school-based support person. So a CE is what we call it, is someone that is chosen by you, the principal, and will support the resident throughout the first year. And there are qualifications for a CE that include holding a license in the same content area as the resident, having a minimum of 3 years of experience in a teaching role, having received ratings of proficient or higher on 3 of the 5 standards, on the most recent summative evaluation, or on standards 1 through 4 for teachers on an abbreviated evaluation. This is such an important role because they are the resident's first point of contact for anything school-based related. The CE will be the instructional support person, of course, in addition to resident peers and other leaders in your building. And building a strong relationship is so important for both the resident and the CE. And again, our teaching resident or our teacher coordinator, Iris McConaughey, will be the CE's point of contact and will be working directly with them, meeting with them, supporting them as well, intervening when she needs to. And as I said before, Iris provides, her support as well in the schools. It just looks really different depending on what the school needs, as well as the CMS teaching resident. But it is imperative that the CE communicate with Iris directly so that we know how best to support you, your school, and the resident. All right, talking about licensure reminders. Just remember that all of our cohort members are hired with an end of year status. So this is important to remember because a declaration will be required for them to remain at your school beyond the 2022-23 school year. If the requirements for the residency license are met during the year, the license will be converted to an initial license. And if there are still requirements left to meet, the residency license can be extended for 2 additional years. That is it for us for now. Be on the lookout for applications and open enrollment for our spring training that will be coming out later in the fall. And then again, we'll have our winter application open for all content areas, like I said, like late winter. So if you have any questions between now and the next time we meet, feel free to email me directly or email CMS Teaching Residency.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Are there any questions for this team?
Yes, Elizabeth, if a principal is interested in interviewing one of the 4 remaining residency candidates, how can they access those names?
They can email me directly and I can send them the link, or I can send them the emails directly with their names. They can email me or CMS Teaching Residency.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the wonderful Allison Lowry from Licensure.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Laurie, and I'm the licensure case manager currently for Central 2 and Southwest. We are receiving many questions about compensation. Please help us by sharing that the North Carolina state budget has been approved, and our compensation department will make all the necessary adjustments in the fall. A few reminders about alternative licensed teachers in your building. They are all required to attend pre-service training unless they are a part of the CMS teaching residency or Teach for America. Important note to remember, these teachers are working on a one-year license and must take action towards the license requirement in order to continue beyond 22-23 school year. Please encourage them to work to meet these requirements so that they can continue to teach next year. Our team is working diligently to accurately assign career status codes to all new CMS employees as quickly as possible. For definitions for all career status codes, please refer to the CMS intranet licensure page. We are already being asked questions about 2023 renewals. In mid-December, our team will begin the renew of credits for all educators with continuing license expiring in 2023. Before then, 5-year renewal information can be found on the CMS intranet licensure page. Do we have any questions at the time?
There are no questions for licensure at this time. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Next, we have the awesome Renee Goals from Beginning Teacher Development and Support.
Thank you, Carol. The New Teacher Experience, or NTX, is an NCDPI state-required event. All teachers new to the profession should attend all 3 days. This includes teachers with less than 6 months of teaching experience. Experienced teachers new to CMS will join us on August 11th. This year's NTX is a hybrid event. Teachers will participate in Canvas modules, attend live stream Zoom sessions, and new to teaching teachers will also engage in content sessions at Mallard Creek High School. Your school will host the school-based orientation in the afternoon of August 11th. Remember that we have created a special website for administrators. Utilize this NTX Info for Admin website to determine which of your teachers should attend and for general updates. This website will also provide you with an overview of the experience teachers will have and a sample schedule. Please be sure to monitor the principal portal for new hire attendance information. The portal updates daily at noon. If you do not see a teacher in the portal who you believe has been fully hired, please reach out to your staffing specialist for additional details. In partnership with the Licensure Department, Performance Management Department, and Human Capital Partners, we have modernized and updated the responsibilities documents for principals, mentor contacts, mentors, and beginning teachers. Links to each of the updated documents are included on the webinar handout. The principal responsibilities details everything a principal should know and do in support of beginning teachers. It has links to resources to help you support the beginning teacher programming at your school. It includes details around beginning teacher induction, mentors, professional development plans, observations, summatives, and links to resources to support you. The mentor contact responsibilities outlines the expectations for how a mentor contact can best support beginning teachers and mentors at each school. The mentor responsibilities documents describe both requirements for mentors as well as best practices for supporting beginning teachers. The beginning teacher responsibilities document is divided into 3 sections: Year 1 BT, Year 2 BT, and Year 3, and each section defines what a beginning teacher should be doing in that year of their experience. CMS pre-service training, or PREP, is a residency or emergency license candidate's 10-day state-required pre-service experience. The primary goal of the program is to positively impact beginning teacher retention and development by increasing the confidence and knowledge of these teachers before entering the classroom. This year, in addition to 4 days, Friday mornings will be spent in the school building receiving orientation and observing veteran teachers. Friday afternoon, teachers will return to SPA at 1 p.m. As in the past, a problem of practice will be a full day scheduled 4 to 6 weeks after the teacher has begun teaching. In an effort to ensure teachers are transitioned into their classrooms in a timely manner, we are researching various options to allow teachers with specific credentials to choose the training option in which they complete the state-required pre-service training. More details will be shared in a memo next week as they become available. We are excited to begin our school-based support for the 22-23 academic year. We will offer school options, beginning teacher options, and mentor or mentor contact support options. We're also able to customize our support to meet the needs of your school. To get started, we encourage you to review your emails to check for communication from a new teacher support coordinator in our department. We've sent emails to schools to initiate the support process. If you don't see the email from us, no worries. Email us at BT Development or contact the support coordinator who served your school last year, and we will be happy to get started with you. Before we start talking about mentors, let me answer the question that most of you are probably wondering right now. Yes, you will receive an updated qualified mentor list for your school, and that will be soon. We are waiting on all pending hiring changes to finalize in Lawson so that teachers are in their 22-23 school, position, and experience level, and then we will share that clean list with principals and mentor contacts. We will also share with you a list of your beginning teachers. Mentors must be classroom teachers and evaluated on the same teacher evaluation plan as the beginning teacher. They must have been evaluated as a teacher in the previous school year. Mentor teachers have to have at least 3 years of teaching experience. Retired teachers are also allowed to mentor. Mentors must complete an online mentor training. The CMS mentor training is modeled after the training offered by NCDPI. The course number 423239 in My Talent is available now. If a mentor or potential mentor has completed the previous mentor course, they do not have to redo it if they completed the training since July 1st of 2010. Mentors need to meet specific standards on their summative evaluation from the 21-22 school year. If a teacher does not have a 21-22 summative, you can reference their 2021 summative. But if a teacher does not have a summative from within the past 2 school years, they may not serve as a mentor for the current school year. NCDPI recommends teachers with overall accomplished ratings, with standard 4 being accomplished, be given priority to serve as mentors. Teachers with overall proficient ratings may also serve as mentors, as long as it is justified in your mentor program plan as to why you selected that teacher as a mentor. If a teacher was not in CMS last year and has a summative from another district, just email us a copy of their most recent summative and we will review it in order to make sure that they are eligible to serve as a mentor and add them to your mentoring list. Many of you may already be thinking about how you would develop and support your mentors during the upcoming year. If you need help, please make note of these options. The on-demand PD library has many resources to support your mentors, so please take advantage. Be sure to create opportunities in your building for mentors, including visits to their colleagues' classrooms, building leadership capacity, or even further developing their feedback or coaching skills. The latter can be done while participating in a new modernized series of supportive interaction, incorporating the work of Jim Knight and the book The Impact Cycle, among others. The on-demand PD library is linked in today's handout. Our first mentor contact meeting is coming up on August 22nd. This meeting is recorded and sent out to anyone who may have a conflict or is unable to attend. The meeting schedule for the year is included in today's handout. At this first meeting, time will be provided to work on the beginning teacher programming for the year. The new school-based mentor program plan will be shared with principals, mentor contacts, and lead mentors via Google Drive the week of August 15th. And finally, we want to go over a few beginning teacher evaluation items with you. By August 26th, beginning teachers should have completed BTSP orientation online. If they attend NTX, they will complete it there, and if they are a second or third year beginning teacher, they should have already completed it. It only needs to be done once. Teachers hired after NTX have 10 days to complete this training. Also by August 26th, principals will conduct the annual training and orientation with all of their staff and ensure teachers enter the date of the training in My Talent. September 23rd is the due date for professional development plans for beginning teachers, and it is the due date for assigning mentors and peer observers in My Talent. Beginning teachers need to complete the North Carolina Teacher Evaluation Process training online. If the beginning teacher is going to coach or participate in extracurricular activities, they must complete the form requesting to do this and have it on file with our department. Self-assessments and PDPs are due on September 23rd. For beginning teachers, these should be signed by the beginning teacher, their mentor, and a school administrator. If you have any questions, please email us at btdevelopment. Don't call us right now because we're NTXing, but you can also follow us on social media for multiple updates.
Thank you, Renee. On deck, now we have the amazing Kelly McKinnon from Teacher Leader Pathway.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly McKinnon, and I am the Program Specialist with the Department of Teacher Leadership and the Teacher Leader Pathway. It is good to be back with you after the summer break, and I have a few brief updates to share regarding the Teacher Leader Pathway today. The first is regarding our 2022-2023 talent pool for our incoming new teacher leaders. The pool is now closed, and we have welcomed all of the teacher leaders you see on the screen, including 32 new multi-classroom leaders, new and promoted multi-classroom leaders. So those teachers are available for schools who have the Teacher Leader Pathway positions open, and we look forward to seeing what they do this school year. Speaking of positions open, please, if you have Teacher Leader Pathway vacancies, make sure you go through the process with your staffing specialist to get them posted in Hire Enterprise. If you are having trouble filling your positions, please feel free to send me an email with the position and I will add it to the list that we send out to all of our teacher leaders so that they can express their interest directly with me and I can refer any candidates to you for your remaining vacancies. Please continue to screen your open requisitions to make sure the candidates that are applying are qualified teacher leaders. You can always check that through the applicant folder in My App, and we will do our very best to refer any interested candidates we have to you when they express interest. Now that the talent pool is closed, we are preparing for requalification. Our teacher leaders are qualified for the talent pool for 3 years at a time. And so it is now up for the 2018-19 and the 2019-20 cohort to requalify. We did skip a year for the 2018-2019 school year due to the pandemic, so that's why they are looped together. All requalification candidates should have received a notice before the end of the school year to remind them of the upcoming window. And the requalification period will run from October 3rd through December 15th. Information on the requirements for each level of teacher leadership can be found on the TLP website underneath the talent pool page, and any other questions can be directed to me. And then our last update is that we are now opening the application window for interested schools to be a part of cohort 10. Whoop, there we go. So about quick facts, 71% of teachers on a team led by an MCL have a rating of accomplished or distinguished on standard 4 of the NCEES. The core principles of the teacher leader pathway are to reach more students with excellent teachers, pay teachers more for extending their reach, fund positions through a traditional budget, provide protected in-school time for planning, collaboration, and development, match authority and accountability to each person's responsibility. Also, teacher leader pathway elementary schools are eligible to use the class size waiver for grades K through 3. Teachers who qualify for the talent pool can take advantage of exclusive PD opportunities as well as their principals and admin teams to further develop their leadership skills. So if you're interested in joining the 87 other schools currently using the teacher leader pathway, please click the link in your handouts and be ready to positively impact your student learning and teacher capacity in the district. The application window will be open from now until September 30th. And as always, you can find more information on the Teacher Leader Pathway website. Are there any questions at this time?
Hi, Kelly. We do have one question.
Yes.
In light of school level vacancies, have we created a TLP fast track submission window specifically for current CMS employees or central office employees that are interested in returning to the school?
We have not. That is one of the things that is on the would love to do list, but we don't have the staff at this time to make that happen right now.
Thank you for that update, and I love the love to do list.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we have the wonderful Deetra Haynes from the Substitute Program.
Good morning. I am Deetra Haynes, Substitute Program Manager. And I wanted to give a brief recap of the guest teacher initiative that was started November of last school year. So currently your guest teachers that you had in your schools for last year will be returning for this year. Their start date is going to be when students are present, August 29th. If any additional approval for that dates to be prior to the 29th, then it will be communicated out through your learning community superintendent. With employees, just a brief reminder, they are 9-month employees, so they do not work teacher work days. And I have communicated all the allotments that are currently for each school this school year. And you were emailed an evaluation prior to end of school if there have been some principal changes during school. So if you do not have that evaluation or need an updated list of your guest teachers, please contact me. Next slide. Just some reminders about our substitute pool and updates. We are here as a team to assist you with your daily substitute teacher needs to help cover vacancies as well as absences. Your substitute secretary needs to cover those, your front office staff that are on leave of absences and those that are vacant positions. And we also help with any general Smart Find question and assistance you may need. Any questions? Here is our current contact information. I listed the recruiters that we have currently on our team. Please feel free to email either of us, and any Smart Find question, you can email the Smart Find help desk.
Thank you, Deidre. We do have a couple of questions. First, are principals allowed to use guest teachers to cover TA positions in pre-K and extensions?
As of last year, the guest teachers were able to be utilized for any position that the principal felt need. I do know it has been communicated there's new critical areas that a guest teacher, because they're a full-time substitute, would not be allowed for. So for a TA, that is fine for a guest teacher to cover as a TA, if so need be.
Thank you. We've got a couple of questions related to guest teachers and long-term subs. Are they able to come in on the teacher work days to help get the school year started?
Currently, no. There has not been any approval for funding for guest teachers or substitutes to work prior to 8/29.
Thank you. And are guest teachers hired for EC positions eligible for a hiring bonus?
No, they are not.
Thank you. That covers all of our questions at this time, but we also want to give a reminder to principals that guest teachers are not eligible to attend NTX. Thank you, Deidre.
Thank you. Next, we have the magnificent Cheryl Munn from Performance Management.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the official evaluation orientation for the 2022-2023 school year. I am Cheryl Munn. I am still the Director of Performance Management, and I am here to walk you through the process. Let's start with the goals for our presentation today. We're going to go over the purpose, which is also part of the state board policy. We're going to look at the orientation requirements, the evaluation process, completing the multi-purpose rubric, and any supporting resources that will be found on the Performance Management website. The educator evaluation system is always about growth and improvement. It's always about growth and improvement, not about termination or separation. The intended purpose is to assess the teacher's performance in relation to the North Carolina professional teaching standards and to design a plan for professional growth. Everything that we discussed today can be found in the North Carolina Teacher Evaluation Process Manual, and there is a link in your handout. Okay, there are 4 steps to the evaluation process and 8 components. Each of these steps are outlined on pages 18 through 21 of the evaluation process manual, and we're going to look at each of the steps more closely today. It is important that you understand the process and implement it with fidelity with your teachers. Okay, component number 1 is training. Everyone involved in the process should have training on the rubric and the standards. Teachers new to teaching and new to North Carolina should complete a 10-hour online Moodle training. Principals should make sure that the teachers have completed the training. Additionally, principals should review each of the standards and explain specific expectations for all teachers for each year. Teachers who are new to your school may not be aware of certain expectations that could vary across schools. The best practice is to do a quick review of the standards each year with all staff and your interpretations of the ratings and how you will use them. Next slide. Step 2 is the orientation. The orientation should be conducted within 10 working days each year. And this year, the due date is August 26th. This doesn't mean that you have to conduct them on August 26th. It means that it's due by August 26th. And here are the required resources for the orientation. You should provide the rubric, the multi-purpose rubric, and there is a link in your handout. You should review the policy, which is eval 004. A link is also in your handout. The purpose, the evaluation cycles, the process for abbreviated, the process for evaluation of licensed staff in low-performing schools, and you know who you are. And then lastly, provide them with a evaluation guideline for the evaluation process in your buildings. Also, you can use the evaluation guide on the performance management website as a tool. Component 3 is the self-assessment. The self-assessment and documentation of the pre-observation conference are completed in My Talent. These may be done at the same time or separately. If you choose to do them together, you need to schedule an adequate amount of time to complete both. The self-assessment and PDP should be developed based on performance from previous year and what has already happened that current year. Meaning, if they're in new classes, if they have different student needs, if there's a PDP focus for the school, etc. Progress on the PDP goals can be discussed at each observation conference, and goals should be modified or added as needed. The self-assessment and PDP due date is September the 23rd. For your pre-observation conference, some principals create a set of pre-observation questions or materials that they have the teachers to complete prior to the conference to guide the discussion. Notes from the conference can be documented in My Talent, and remember, the pre-conference is only required for the first observation. Okay, also you will discuss your PDPs in your pre-conference meeting. An individual PDP is for those teachers who are at least proficient on all standards on the teacher summary rating form. Monitored growth is for teachers who are they have at least one developing on one or more standards on the summary rating form. And this is from the previous year. Directed, these are for teachers who had not demonstrated or developing for 2 years in a row on the summary evaluation form. Note that principals have input on the monitor and the directed goals for the PDPs, but they can also provide input on individual PDPs. Here's an example of a set of pre-conference questions. If you don't have any that you use, here's an example that you can use in your buildings, and I will upload this to the performance management website. Component 5, the observation cycle. During the first observation and the additional observations, you will rate each element of the observation and will write a narrative for each standard. This is where you would indicate the teacher's strengths and areas for growth, the impact of their actions during the lesson, and include information from data, artifacts, or involvement outside of the lesson. Observation 1 is due on November the 10th, 2022, and the late hire cutoff date this year is December 6th, 2022. Okay, here is the NESA's evaluation process requirement. So comprehensive, they should have, one thing you need to remember about the comprehensive before I even say anything else, they must have a peer observation. You cannot move forward to the summary rating form if the peer observation is not complete. And these are for employees in their first 3 years. They're new to CMS, teachers who don't have a continuing license. They should all be on a comprehensive plan. And that's 3 formal observations and a peer. Standard plan, these are employees who are in their renewal year. They're not new to CMS. They must have a self-assessment, obviously, a PDP, pre-observation, 1 formal and 2 informal. And they are rated on all 5 standards. Abbreviated, only rated on standards 1 and 2. Late hire, 1 observation and 1 summary rating, conference. But they also need to have at least 1 PDP goal. And your licensed support staff, not including your counselors, but your speech, OT, PT, they have 1 observation all year, and then their summary rating at the end of the year. Now your counselors, and it's not on this slide, but your counselors are now on counselors and facilitators, they follow the teacher leader TLP plan, and they, your teacher leader specialist plan, and they have a standard evaluation. We are not able to provide an abbreviated plan. It's either comprehensive or standard, but we're going to upload them as standard. All right, your minimum performance expectations. The only thing I really want to address on this slide is contract renewal versus licensure renewal. This document drives that. And I'll say it again, contract renewal versus licensure renewal. Contract renewal, well, let's go to licensure renewal first. Licensure renewal is based on the number of years in your role. If you're a teacher, counselor, principal, the number of years in that role. And so if your license is up for renewal in 1 year, 2 years, usually it's 5 years, you have to meet the minimum performance expectations. If you don't complete the minimum performance, please go back. If you don't complete the minimum performance expectations for your licensure renewal, then you will be eligible for non-renewal. Contract renewal is based on your number of years in the district. And I want to put an emphasis on the last one, year 4 plus, because this was this past year was the first time this was in effect since this was put in place in 2018. So if you have 4+ years, and last year was the first 4-year renewal, in order to receive another 4-year contract with CMS, you must be rated accomplished in 3 out of 5 of the standards, with standard 4 rated accomplished and proficient in all others. For abbreviated plans, you must be rated accomplished on standard 4 and at least proficient on standard 1. You can find out the contract renewal year of your employees in Power BI. If you don't know what that is, I will be providing training throughout the year on Power BI. So I want to stress that on this page, contract renewal and licensure renewal. Everything else is pretty much the same. Okay. All right, observations, and you've seen this slide before, and I like to include it. It's a series of formative assessments. So observation 1, 2, and 3 are formative assessments. Your actual evaluation is your summary evaluation. This is where your ratings, where the ratings are actually come into play. So the formative process is your observations 1, 2, and 3 conducted throughout the year. Okay, component 6 is the post-observation conference. The post-observation conference must be conducted no later than 10 days after the first observation. If it's not conducted within 10 days, if there's a reason due to a leave of absence or maternity leave or something like that, then you will note that in the record of activities that the post-conference was not completed within 10 days or it was completed on the 11th day because, but if for some reason you was unable to complete it within the time allotted, then the observation would have to be, you would have to redo the observation. And in the post-observation conference, you're going to simply discuss strengths and weaknesses, not ratings, which is on the next slide. Post-observation conferences should be linked back to the descriptors, not the rating category. No one observation should fully inform a teacher's rating. Next slide. Here are a set of questions that you can use to for the post-conference. And these questions are also on the performance management website, and there's a link in your handout. Okay, standard component 7 is the summary evaluation. Ratings on the summary rating form are not an average of the performance throughout the year. It is the performance level of the teacher at that point in the year. So I know we had this conversation where if you want to, if someone had accomplished all year and you want to go ahead and give them accomplished, but you think you should give them accomplished, but they're really still proficient, the principal can make that determination to give them a proficient rating if that's where they are at that time. Only principals and assistant principals can complete a summary rating form for teachers, not deans of students and facilitators. And component 8, as we discussed earlier, after the summary evaluation conference, you will also discuss what plan, PDP plan, the employee will be on for the previous year based on their ratings. Okay, you've heard this before. The rubric is a multi-purpose rubric. Components 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is the self-assessment, pre-conference, the observation, and post-conference, they contributed to the formative support offered to your teachers to help them reflect on and refine their professional and instructional practice annually. So that's your self-assessment and the observation rubric, which is the formative tool and your data container. Component 7, which is the summary rating conference, takes place at the end of the school year using information collected throughout the school year. As leaders, mentors, and peers interact with educators or your teachers in formal and informal ways, specific teaching behaviors and outputs get documented each time the NESIS rubric is completed. All right, this is not a true or false, it's just false. Teachers must complete tasks at the district level to get a distinguished rating. That's false. While it would be a wise practice to have distinguished teachers share their skills and expertise across the district, there is no language in the rubric to support this. Now, if they have an impact outside of their classroom within this building, or if you can see where students are using what they learned from other classrooms in the classroom that you're observing, those things would fall under that distinguished category. Just an example. All right, understanding the element, context, and the rating levels. Teachers and administrators sometimes report that the performance descriptions are subjective, inadequate, or confusing, where more objective rating guidance is necessary to help evaluators reach an informed, holistic rating for each of the 5 standards. It is essential to use the structure and language of the NESIS rubric to anchor this decision-making process. The descriptors of practice in the NESIS rubric progress in scope and complexity across the columns from left to right. Developing measures the knowledge. Do you know it? Proficient measures the actions. Do they show it? Accomplish measures the interaction. Is it visible in the actions of your students? And distinguish measures extension. Is it visible beyond the instructional space of your classroom? Acknowledging and understanding this progression can help you objectively reach an overall rating of each standard. Okay, marking the rubric. You will complete the rubric for evaluating North Carolina teachers during the teacher observations. A check in the first column of the rubric means that the evaluator should be able to observe the items in that row during the routine observation. The evaluator will check descriptors that are observed during the lesson and consider evidence of additional performance responsibilities demonstrated by the teacher. That's the holistic, comprehensive outlook of the teacher. If the observer is not able to mark any of the descriptors for an element, then the not demonstrated column is used. In such case, the observer must write a comment about what was observed and any suggestions for improving performance. During each post-observation conference, the principal and teacher will discuss and document on the rubric the strengths and weaknesses of the teacher's performance during the observed lesson. Here's another fault. The number of years a teacher has worked should be considered when completing the rubric. Absolutely not. The teacher evaluation is an annual process. Now, it doesn't mean that every year they start over as developing. It doesn't mean that. It's saying that the number of years that they've been teaching should not be considered. Okay, when completing the observation rubric, disregard all labeling that applies to the summary rating evaluation process. This includes the column headings developing, proficient, accomplished, and distinguished, as well as the and notations. These are only relevant at the time of the summary rating conference. Look for the descriptors for actions that are observed during both the classroom observation and during the observation cycle period, which is in between each observation. From observation 1 to observation 2 is the observation cycle period. There is no obligation to a left to right progression within an element row. Now, I do want to explain that. What it means is that you don't have, the state says that you don't have to check everything in developing in order for them to be proficient, that you can mark throughout the rubric. But for CMS purposes and for reporting purposes, we're going to ask you to check the boxes leading up to, because we want to make sure that we're reporting completion and our data in Power BI correctly. Write detailed comments and feedback in the comment boxes. Check additional element descriptors if the post-conference discussion and or artifacts warrant doing so. That means if they bring any additional information into the post-conference to support checking another box, you may do so. Okay, another false for the state. During observations, everything in the first column must be checked before anything in the next column can be checked. While the rubric skills do build from left to right, during observations, the rubric is simply an inventory of documented actions. The left to right requirement is for scoring element ratings at the end of the year. And the last false. Teachers in their first year can't get a rating higher than proficient. I think everybody knows how I feel about that now. Please observe your beginning teachers where they are. They're not automatically developing. Please observe them where they are. And that is my time. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Cheryl. Do we have any questions for this team?
Yes, we do have a great question. Are facilitators able to conduct evaluations?
No, facilitators are not able to conduct evaluations nor attend the new evaluation of teacher training.
Thank you. That was the only question at this time.
And lastly, we have the delightful Michelle Jean Jameau from Employee Relations.
Hello, everybody. And I just want to refer to Cheryl's previous presentation where she was talking about falsehoods in our presentation. There will be a lot of truisms. That's what we'll be talking about. And I appreciate you hanging in. I know this is an especially long webinar as we launch our school year. This is just a few quick slides, so I hope that you hang in there with us. Just a brief introduction of myself. I'm an employee relations manager right now, covering, based on the previous model, both the Southwest Learning Community and the Northeast. And with me also participating is Kristen Klein. I'll let her introduce herself.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you again. And I'm Kristen Klein, and I too am an employee relations manager. I currently serve the Northwest and Southeast learning communities. And previously, I have spent 27 years in education as a teacher, assistant principal, and 6 years as a principal. So I moved over to employee relations about 1.5 years ago and have enjoyed every minute of it. So we look forward to working with you.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit about our new and improved intranet page. What we do, and I just want to give an overview of what we do in employee relations. Of course, most people know us because we conduct investigations into allegations of employee misconduct. There are some other key responsibilities that our team covers: unemployment claims and hearings. We also handle employee overnight criminal charges reports. We review those and investigate those. And we also do new hire criminal background check reviews. We handle work accommodations. There's some information about that on our intranet page. Rehire eligibility, there's also a link there if any of you may be getting requests from former employees about how they can try and get back into the district. And of course, I've saved the best for last, which is we quite frequently provide guidance on employee misconduct and performance and handling emergency situations. Our goal essentially is to assist our administrators and supervisors in solving and resolving workplace issues with a focus on establishing cohesive workplace relationships.
Okay, so after this past year, we really did some digging into certainly the greatest needs of our customers, which are supervisors and school leaders. And we also sent out a survey to get some feedback from our school leaders, and which was extremely helpful. So what we did with all of that information, we gathered that, and we have now created and are in the process of creating, I should say, an ER supervisor toolkit. And the purpose of the toolkit certainly is to provide resources for supervisors and school leaders that will assist them and support them in real time during the course of the day, because we know those things when we sometimes are not available, managers are not always available. So we want you to be able to have the autonomy to go into that toolkit and be able to start any process you can on your own before being able to speak to us. So with that being said, we are rolling it out in phases. It will be in 3 phases, actually. So the first phase is today, which is our new and improved district employee intranet site. So we have really built that up to provide you with documents, important links, anything that you may need in relation to employees just in general. So, and we'll talk about that. The second phase, of course, is going to be now a Canvas course that will be available to supervisors and school leaders, and that's more of the private course, whereas it kind of gets down into things like, what do you do when you have a reasonable suspicion on campus and you feel like it may be under the influence. It will be very much a step-by-step process, things that you can do before you even call employee relations. And the third phase of the toolkit will be a supervisor and school leader handbook. And again, that will be something that will be easily accessible, in Canvas as well. So for that, we of course delved into our past cases and guidance to supervisors to decide what resources may be most helpful and be readily available to you. The departments with whom we most partner with are linked on this page, and it's actually on the home page. When you go into the employee intranet, anything from human capital management to Title IX to most often employee assistance program, mental health services. There are links to relevant and most oftentimes we use these board policies that are listed under the important documents. And as always, we want to make sure we welcome your suggestions, comments, feedback on anything that may not be listed that you would find beneficial.
Thanks, Kristen. Awesome. I'm going to kind of dovetail on what Kristen was talking about in some of our resources on our page and hone in on the Employee Assistance Program and mental health resources. I think it's really important this time of year. Everybody comes in gangbusters. They're so excited. They want to come in really strong. And sometimes folks who are very new to education may just think, oh, this is not what I thought it was, and they get stressed out. And we want to make sure that all of our employees are available or are aware of these available resources. Dear Oaks, there's a link here to our Employee Assistance Program, Dear Oaks. They're available 24/7. They even have an app so that employees can download their app onto their phone. They offer free counseling sessions. The first five sessions are free. There's support not only available to the employee, but to immediate family members, which is pretty awesome. And usually that's a surprise to our employees in the district. And then those who leave the district, they also have access to that support for an additional 6 months after separation. We've also discovered in the last year that there is another organization that provides free resources to our employees through North Carolina Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that is called Aspire Health and Wellness. They provide, amazingly, unlimited counseling to full-time CMS employees, and they also offer mindfulness training and nutrition therapy. And there was one also you'll see on the screen here. One of our responsibilities is reviewing and engaging the interactive process around workplace accommodations. So there's a great deal of information if you want to dig into our website about that process, the application process, and guidance for supervisors as well. Okay, just a heads up, I think most of you may already know this, but just as a reminder, there has been a change in the coding for board policies. So those policies now that are focused on employees, they begin with the letter P as in Peter, and the ending of the coding is usually related to the name of the policy. So I've listed here a couple of board policies that we use most frequently. One is prior was GBEB Standard of Conduct and is now going to be known as P-STND, Standards of Conduct. And then what was previously known as GCMB, Attendance by Employees, is now called P as in Peter, ATT, Attendance by Employees. Of course, all of the board policies are on the board policy page on the internet, but also we've included a lot of links on the intranet page too, as well. Just a few suggestions that we wanted to share with you today prior to getting your evaluation process launched with all of your employees coming back. There are a few suggestions that we'd like to share for being proactive in regards to misconduct. We want you to consider possibly using the PDP as a strategic resource when looking at misconduct. I know that Cheryl had mentioned that there are triggers in regards to the evaluation plan prior year that would automatically mean that the PDP type would need to be changed. However, if there's also a significant misconduct issue that may have resulted in a written warning in the previous year, I would encourage you to contact Employee Relations to discuss the changing possibly of the PDP type. There are, in the PDP, conduct-related goals can be established as well. For example, a goal can be given to an employee to be respectful and engage in professional behavior with colleagues, with parents, with their emails. There can also be goals in regards to attendance, or if there are concerns regarding a teacher's inclusivity, there can be added in PD requirements. So we can be creative on that end. There is also the possibility of moving a teacher from an abbreviated plan to a standard evaluation plan. So in any of the plans, we can't reduce the number of observations, but we can, of course, increase those. And finally, in terms of creating your evaluation schedule, any employees for whom you have concerns about their conduct and performance, I would highly recommend scheduling them earlier in the evaluation cycle or in your observation plan so that you can get feedback to them earlier and address any issues sooner in the school year. So 3 key words I just want to share with you on that end is document, document, document. And our final slide is in regards to gathering other resources. As employees return, if there have been issues with absenteeism in the previous year, we recommend using a tracker, but just starting out with that at the beginning of the school year. And we do have a very simple template that we can share if anyone would like for us to do that. You can get yourself organized, collect and organize documents regarding the employee's conduct from the previous year. Schedule a meeting or call your ER manager, Kristen, myself. We have Glenda Blackman as well, and Deirdre Spears. So connect with one of us and we can strategize with you about next steps. And another great practice is scheduling a meeting with the employee at the beginning of the school year to reset expectations and sometimes even list them out in writing and have the employee sign off on them. So just a few guidelines, and I'm going to stop here and let Kristen add a few of her thoughts as well before we finish.
And I believe the next slide is the open forum. And just before we get to that, just a couple of closing remarks in regards to the intranet site. While we know there may be some changes in the structure, we do want you to always refer to the intranet site and our directory. We have specified what manager belongs to or manages each department, each learning community. So please utilize that specific employee relations roles on the intranet site. That way you know where to direct your telephone calls and emails. And once again, certainly you can direct any questions. We would love to have your feedback, especially as we move towards phase 2, which is the Canvas course that is already starting to be constructed and already has some resources on it. And next month, we will be addressing those. But in the meantime, feel free to contact us.
Thank you, Michelle and Kristen. Do we have any questions for this team?
We do not have any questions for this team. However, some additional questions have come up for the performance management team. So we will follow up with all of those with the particular expert. And we want to remind you to visit the performance management page on the intranet to have some of those questions answered.
That concludes our first HR webinar of the 2022-2023 school year. Thank you for your participation. If you have any additional questions, please enter them in the chat bar now or reach out to our subject matter experts directly following the webinar. Again, thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful day.